What's up, everyone? Mike Proska here, back for the Sports Biz Report, Season 2, Episode 8. Today, I'm joined by Alexa Fontanella, who actually just joined our staff recently. She's the managing editor of the blog. So, basically, we're happy to have her on. And a couple weeks ago, she wrote a post, which you can actually check out, about NFL teams firing their head coaches literally right after the season ended, and even some during the season. And now that we're into the playoffs, these teams have also hired new coaches, and we're just going to talk about these transitions and what they mean for the organizations going forward. So first of all, I want to start with the Houston Texans. They were supposed to compete for their division and literally be in the playoffs right now. However, we all know what happened there. Probably the worst team in the NFL. They fired Gary Kubiak. But more interestingly, they bring in Bill O'Brien, who we all know his story. He was at Penn State. And, do you have any thoughts on?
Well, I think Bill O'Brien, what he did with Penn State was really good with all the controversy surrounding the Jerry Sandusky trial. He had a lot of problems going into it and living up to the expectations of Joe Paterno. But if I was him, career-wise, who wouldn't take a job with an NFL team? The Houston Texans, they have talent on their team. Maybe just not at the quarterback position, but there really is a future.
Yeah, it makes sense for him, personally. And, my thoughts at least are Penn State is sort of in a world of its own where everyone's so focused on football there. He was in a tough position saying he was going to leave. But then again, he was also getting a lot of hate from the Joe Paterno lovers, and he was dealing with a lot more than what we realize. And I think a lot of Penn State fans are quick to criticize him when, everyone wants to coach in the NFL, and he has the opportunity, and he did well for Penn State. He sort of brought it back, so.
One of my friends attends Penn State, and she was saying after he was announced of leaving Penn State and going to Houston, the players were really sad about it because he promised them when he was recruiting that he would be there for their entire career. And now that he's gone, they kind of feel betrayed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a tough situation for any college coach, I think, because the relationship with the players is different than what the fans think or the boosters or whatever. But I have my brother graduate from Penn State, and I know a lot of people are not a fan of what he did by leaving, but I understand it, but I don't see him really causing a problem by leaving. I think he did all he could, and it's just making the right choice. And also, he's stepping into a position at Houston where, as you said, they have the talent. He could really do well with them, I think. Yeah. They need a quarterback. But moving on, another interesting team was the Lions, who, you talked about this in your post. They were halfway through the season. They were the winner of the NFC North, and Jim Schwartz, who we all know can be very emphatic, has a very bold personality. They collapsed. And they collapsed badly. I feel like a lot of the media was focused on the Cowboys collapse, but the Lions was really, if not just as bad, worse. And they just brought in Jim Caldwell, who was the Ravens offensive coordinator. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
Well, last season, the Lions had their destiny in their own hands. You had Aaron Rodgers hurt, Jay Cutler hurt. The Lions should have won, and that didn't happen. So obviously something had to happen because the Lions have a lot of talent on their team, and they've underperformed the last few seasons as well. But I just don't think that
Jim
Caldwell is the solution to that problem.
It's going to be interesting because from what I took from it was really Matthew Stafford choked the last three or 4 weeks, and Caldwell is an interesting choice because he was with Peyton Manning earlier in his career in Indianapolis. So, Stafford and Manning are different players, so that's to be real. So it'll be interesting, but I think that should be his main focus right now is solidifying Stafford as a more consistent quarterback, especially, when it comes down to the end of the season.
Yep.
And then final team I just want to hit on is the Redskins. Just because that organization is one that's a little crazy. We all know Shanahan and RG3 had their differences, and now Shanahan's gone. They were another team. They were picked to win the NFC again, and they go from first to worst. They bring in Jay Gruden. He's got the name, but is he the right man, basically, that can bring them back?
I think he just has to gain the trust of the players, because you saw what happened with Shanahan. Towards the end, the players didn't respect him as much as a coach, and he had problems with RG3 not wanting him to be quarterback, reportedly. So as long as he gets in their good graces, and if they win, everything's going to be okay. But when you lose, it all goes to the coach.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's a good point you made. When there's two quarterbacks fighting for the position, the coach has to make sure that each of them has his trust and he builds a solid relationship. And then I think personally that he has to make a statement closer to the season, who's his guy. But then also he has to make sure the backup is trusting the situation and everything. It's a tough situation to be in, but I actually do like that. I like them hiring him. I think he did it in Cincinnati. He was offensive coordinator. They started making the playoffs, so I don't think they had any better options really out there.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting though. The Vikings and Cleveland still get to pick someone. Vikings are another team. Need a quarterback. Cleveland, let's be honest, they're always going to be 4-12. They're never going to be any better.
Poor Josh Gordon.
Yeah. Really. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this week. For those of you interested, the SMTSU will be hosting a networking event February 13th. That'll be at 7 o'clock at night. Just stay focused to the blog, and we'll have posts about it, and we'll keep talking about it to keep you informed. But as of now, that's it. As for Alexa, I'm Mike. Episode 8, we just killed that.